Hey folks, how's it going? Today I am in the Maserati GranTurismo Trofeo, the top of the Maserati lineup, the pinnacle of Italian engineering brought to you by Chrysler, kind of. This car is interesting, you know, it's really fast and it handles really well, but it's very, very expensive, and there's a real kind of mixed bag of materials in here. We'll cover all of that on our little drive today through Northeast Pennsylvania. Like I said, the car handles really great, but it does cost $235,000. The Trofeo starts at about $202,000, but you tack on a bunch of stuff like paint, the driver assist package, a better stereo. That price quickly climbs to $235,000, and you're playing with some real big dogs at that price point. But it can handle with the best of them, so why don't we get her out on the road? This is a bit of a bumpy section of the road, so I have to put the ride height up. Let's hope we don't scrape. They scraped a little bit. It's okay. Ooh, that was a big one. But we're okay. Let's get this car going. Like I said, really fast. 3-liter Nuetto V6, twin turbocharged, 540 horsepower, 480-ish pound-feet of torque. Let's go. Whoa! Yeah, it's fast. It's really fast. All that power goes to a new all-wheel drive system for Maserati. The old GranTurismo used to be rear-wheel drive. This car, no more. All GranTurismos are all-wheel drive, not just the Trofeos. They all have that Nuetto V6. This one's just got a lot more power, and it just devours. Brakes work really well. They're very squeaky. I don't know if that's because this car has almost 6,000 miles on it, or they're just always squeaky, but they are. They work really well. And among other things that work well are these absolutely fabulous metal shift paddles, which feel really, really awesome. You just want to flick them, even when you don't have to shift, you just want to flick them back and forth because it feels so nice. You feel like you're in a real race car. The way it can just cover ground really fast without any crazy sensation of speed is wonderful. The real standout here, though, the powertrain's wonderful, so is the transmission, all that good stuff. But the steering, it handles absolutely wonderfully. Really nice weight to it. It's not the most talkative system in the world, but you get a lot of nice feedback. It's very, very direct. So you kind of just point it and go in a lot of ways. It really lets you move quick. Transmission gives you that nice kind of old school kick. It's a ZF8 speed that you get in a lot of cars, but when you put in Corsa mode, it turns into like, it feels like, you can see the same kind of kick that like an old school single clutch automatic would do, like one of those old school simulated manual gearboxes, which is kind of neat. It's not for everyone, but definitely enlivens the experience, I'd say. Red line here is 6,500 RPM, but it'll rev, fuel cutoffs around 7,200, 7,300 if you really want to bring it out, and why wouldn't you? It's not, you know, the V6 doesn't sound like those old Maserati V8s, certainly. But this motor, which is, you know, part Ferrari, part Alfa Romeo, part Chrysler, part Maserati, feels really nice. Now, this car is far from perfect. a little bit farther from perfect than it should be for $235,000, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of materials in here that don't feel quite up to par. I'm looking at a lot of buttons that come straight out of fairly cheap Chrysler products. Like a lot of the steering wheel buttons are on Cherokees and stuff, which isn't super great. And everything has a little bit of a looseness to it. I don't know if that's because this is a tired press car, but it just doesn't feel like the interior doesn't feel quite as tight as it should be. And around the hairpin. But everything's just a little bit loose is the best way to describe it. Now, granted, it still does feel very nice, and the seats are absolutely wonderful. You get these really nice bucket seats up front, and these rear seats, while they don't look that spacious, I had 4 adults in this car yesterday, all of, decent height, and we were all very comfortable. Sure, there was a little bit of squeezing. I had to move my seat a tiny bit, but it was still pretty solid. In the car for over an hour, and no one really complained about anything, and that's good. I mean, this is a GranTurismo after all, and what's the point of a Grand Tour if you can't bring your friends along? That's what I say. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens in the Maserati GranTurismo. You got a gauge cluster, you got your regular infotainment, you've got a little thing down here that's kind of like emission control, it's got your climate control, all sorts of vehicle settings, they put the goddamn lights in the screen, but whatever, you already know my feelings about that. Up here, a rear view camera, which is great. I love those in every car, especially a car like this where it's not that easy to see out the back. And finally, you got this little screen that's a clock that you can switch into other things, like a compass, where your pedals are, and a G meter. That's just so fun to me. I love that kind of stuff. Ooh. It's a little bit manic, and I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that it's got kind of short gearing. You blast through the gears really fast, and especially because the rev limiter is kind of low for, a sports car, 6,500, 270, 300 fuel cutoff. The car feels, you're like really going. The suspension is also very nice, I should say. It's got a really nice dual personality where you can put it in sports shocks no matter what drive mode you're in, and there are 4. There's Comfort, GT, Sport, and the aforementioned Corsa. I've been doing most of my driving, as long as it's not on the highway, in Corsa mode. I'm sorry, in sport mode. Corsa's a little bit too on the ragged edge for everyday driving. It turns off all your electronic nannies and stuff, which you probably want to keep on most of the time. I mean, this does have a lot of horsepower and a lot of torque, and it is very fast. You can change the suspension settings independently of the drivetrain, which means even in Corsa, like I'm in right now, I have the softer suspension going to kind of alleviate some of these bumps that you get on a rough Pennsylvania road. And if you're kind of a weirdo and you want to be in comfort mode, you can still put on the harder suspension. That's only if you're a weirdo. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, I guess to each their own, but I don't know. I've done a lot of driving on this, especially on the highway. And it definitely lives up to that GT GranTurismo name. This thing just eats miles, eats them up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's truly a comfortable cruiser, or when you find yourself on a fun back road like this, can really, really put the pedal down and hang with the best of them. That being said, $235,000 is a lot of money for a car. And you know what? I would expect, you know what? It should drive like this for 235 grand. That should be a given. However, for 235 grand, I would also expect kind of nicer materials in some places. Now, the leather feels great. Honestly, the tech works really well too. But it's just some of these buttons are just kind of meh. The buttons feel kind of meh. And while this engine is very, you know, it's good, it's a good engine, it's not quite as soulful as those old Italian V8s are. And 230, I know it's going to sound like kind of boomerish, but $235,000 for a V6 feels like a lot of money. I don't know. And when you look at what its competition is, like I think it's stuff like the Lexus LC500, a car which I've driven a lot and loved, that car cost less than half of this. And I don't know, I'm sure it's not less than half of this car. You know, it's not, that's also just a really good car. A lot of it, this car's price comes down, unfortunately, to the badge. The Maserati badge does command a lot of money. And it's kind of your choice if you want to pay that or not. I understand both the pros and cons of it. I'm not here to, I can't afford it no matter what, so who am I? It's a really good and complete car. Pretty much complete. That's missing 3 or 4 things from being great. And you know what? Unfortunately, it might cost $50,000 or $60,000 too much, unfortunately. You know, it's very nice, but I don't know if it can quite command the price that Maserati is asking for it. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I will see you on the next one. I love you.